Hi, everybody. John LeTourneau here, Director of Commercial Operations at eXp Commercial, bringing you your office market update. Now, it's certainly an interesting time for office, even before COVID. And we still are looking at the long tail effects of what does it mean to have office space in this market. Everyone was sent home for a long time. People came back, some didn't. Even Zoom is forcing workers to come back. So there was a feeling that, hey, everyone's going to have to rush back. It'll be a return to 2018, 2015 culture for office. That has not happened and not played out. So interestingly, office still a troubled place to be. 14.2% national vacancy. It is the toughest market out there is to be in office, right? This is the highest vacancy on record. And everyone thought, oh, it'll get better. It'll get better. It's been struggling. Let's be real. Okay. Now, interestingly, net absorption at minus 20 million square feet. Now, that is huge, but actually there was more space give back a year and 2 years ago. So not as much space coming back, but overall, the space that's being given back is not being released. So we're not seeing absorption. Now, an interesting trend here, and I tend to look optimistically to the future. You got 35.7 million square feet of new delivery coming. And you're like, who in their right mind would build office right now? Well, there's some markets right now where you cannot find office space. And we'll talk about a few of those in just a minute. So you look at that and go, well, from a landlord perspective, if I'm in one of those tighter markets and I know there's not a lot of pipeline things coming, very favorable for me as a landlord, even though there's 14.2% vacancy nationally. All real estate is local, so you have to know your market. Um, so rent growth barely zero point 0.7. I mean, it's almost not trackable in some markets, and it's negative in many markets. But in others, you're seeing 3 and 4% rent increases. So it's a very interesting story of being in the right place, the right market, and the right property. National average cap rates are up in the nines, so a far cry from what we're seeing in single tenant net lease, retail, or multifamily. Um, Sub 7% was 2021, so we're seeing some significant decompression there, as a lot of those longer term leases are coming due and people are giving space back. B and C assets, unfortunately, are trading nine and a halfs, tens maybe, as far as a 10% cap rate. So if you do have owners of B and C assets and they're looking at it going, I don't know if we should hold on to this or refi or keep it, you might want to do some real soul searching with those folks about, well, if, it might be a nine now, but if interest rates go up in a year or two when you go to refi, what happens then? So always be sure you're advising your folks on not just today, but what's around the corner. What's the lion over the hill, as they say. Okay. So where can you go make some money in office? Let's talk about that for a minute. New York City is interesting. 1.8 million square feet of net absorption, number one market in the country. Vacancies at 13.6. You're like, wait, high vacancy and good absorption? Yeah, it is, but it's also flight to quality assets. Class A in Midtown is back at 95% of pre-pandemic levels of worker participation and worker show up. So you're seeing that happen. It's taking time, but New York has opportunity there. Dallas, Fort Worth, you're going to see Texas come up in all of our reports, right? High absorption, high construction, rent growth is at what, 1.5% year over year. So there's growth there. But the diverse tenant base is interesting here because it wasn't all oil based. It's not all pharma. It's not all, science or tech. It's got a very diverse workforce, and that's going to help bring back that office growth. Miami, Florida's always up there as well, right? Net absorption is almost a million square feet. Palm Beach, you're seeing 4.9% year over year rent growth. Remember, I said we're seeing hyper growth somewhere and hyper deflation in other areas as far as rents. Um, Definitely flight to quality here all day. Charlotte's fabulous, right? Net absorption's at 1.2 million. Rent growth 1.8%. Not awesome, but still solid. Now, financial services are what really run Charlotte. If you look at all the banks downtown, you're going to see a ton of that there. So, where are the challenges and opportunities? Well, if you know how to look for them, they're almost everywhere. But let's talk about San Francisco for one. 22.8% vacancy, worst nationwide, unfortunately. Rent growth negative 1.5%. You're not getting long term, 3 and 4% increases there. Negative net absorption, lots of older stock, Class A properties under pressure. San Francisco is a challenged market. DC, interestingly, you always thought DC is stable because of government, opportunities and always, the turning of government and the churning. Great. But negative net absorption was 4.48 million square feet. So they gave back a ton of space. Some of this was a result of the DOGE efforts, that came about. So there's a lot of space there, widening cap rates, because it used to be that if you're leased to the government, you have super stable lease. Hey, it's a government lease. They'll never go anywhere. Well, actually, they will. Significant federal agency pullback is kind of quieting that fervor around that. Chicago, my hometown, hate to say it, 16.8% vacancy, minus 3.77 million square feet. The phrase we use is recovery is elusive, and that's a great phrase, but leasing is renewals at best in smaller footprints. Law firms that used to take 10 and 20,000 feet are going down to fives now. And what we're seeing is also a flight, especially in Chicago, out of city center, out to suburban areas, to the west and to the north of that. Boston, net absorption, minus 3.4 million, construction, 8 million coming. Interesting. Lab markets, overbuilt. It was Boston and Scientific, right? Lots of science lab tech stuff there. Unfortunately, they're hurting because a lot of that lab environment was also based on government funding. So definitely a bit of a tricky market in Boston, right? So what are your takeaways? Where do you go with this? Medical is okay. It's stable, but with large scale consolidation of practices, the mom and pop medical office building with 5 or 6 little providers in it, those are getting picked off one by large providers. So there's not quite the stability that used to run the day in medical office. Trophy space pre-leased is the only place you're going to really, really do well with it, but you need a tenant with long-term commitment to that space. And that's great if you've got it. Tough to find, but there's an opportunity there. Okay. Obsolete office, it is a tough time. If you've got what I call down in brown, which is, 8, 9 foot high ceilings, all dark brown from the 70s, little box offices everywhere, it's going to struggle. You're going to continue to struggle. Okay. Those cap rates are, in the high nines and tens, and who knows where they're going from there. People want different amenities, a different feel of the space. So B and C buildings are going to continue to struggle and may face redevelopment as the newest opportunity. What development is there is slowing overall, which they hope will be a long-term stabilizer as we go forward. But overall, office is a bit of a tough space now. I definitely want to thank our data partner CoStar for providing a lot of this data to us. And then we take our internal data, do an overlay there. And then I throw kind of my little magic salt on top of that and look forward into the market. So I appreciate you taking the time to share this with us, to sit with us and spend some time. If you have any questions on this, please reach out to your eXp Commercial advisor or us here at the operations team at eXp Commercial. Thanks for your time today. See you soon.